Thank you, Jason. Firstly, let me just say on behalf of BG Group, we have been referred to a number of times as British Gas today, which is what we used to be called, but we'll take that rather than British Petroleum, which is what some people confuse us with. On behalf of BG Group, it's great to be here today to contribute to what has been an interesting, insightful, impassioned discussion. I can't speak quite as quickly as Jason or some of the other people, but I'll try. In terms of the discussion we've heard so far, really to me it's talked about the intersection between really global energy markets, and it's not very often I come to a conference and feel that I'm actually talking about a niche area. Global LNG, the global LNG trade is really a niche of the bigger energy market. We're talking about the interface between the global energy market and international politics, and really, international politics play a large part in the energy markets and vice versa in this region. In terms of my own area, the global LNG market, the liquefied natural gas market, that, if you look at global consumption of gas worldwide, only 10% of it is actually moved as LNG. 70% of gas is actually produced and consumed in the same country, domestic consumption. 30% is traded internationally. Of that 30%, two-thirds goes from place to place as pipelines. One-third, tenth of the world's gas goes from place to place as LNG. It's liquefied. It's put on the tankers that were shown earlier. One of the BG tankers I was pleased to see sitting in Singapore, the orange one. And so you'd look at that and you'd say, well, LNG isn't really an important part of the global gas trade. 1 in 10 molecules is moved as LNG. But actually, LNG is having a transformative effect on global natural gas because it's the piece that's driving commoditization of natural gas. And commoditization means different things to different people. It means there's a global trade geography. Natural gas used to be very regional. It would stay in the same regions. Gas produced in North America would stay in North America. Gas produced in Europe, Russia would stay in Europe and Russia. Gas produced in Asia, and there wasn't much of it, would stay in Asia. We now have a global trade, overlap, competition, Australia competing to supply Japan, the US competing to supply Japan. And that brings natural gas into the geopolitical arena. Natural gas actually wasn't part of the geopolitical arena until recently. I would spend my time talking to companies, to potential importers, very rarely to governments. In the last 2 years, I've talked to a lot of governments, US, UK, European Commission, a lot of interest in natural gas, and that's because of this commoditization. And so what we're seeing is for countries like Israel, and Israel actually is an LNG importer. I don't know if many people know that, but you are importing cargoes, the odd cargo at the moment. To bridge between the kind of the new domestic supplies ramping up. We're seeing Israel kind of ponder where it fits in this globalizing scheme of natural gas. Does it sell its natural gas domestically? Well, most countries make that as the first choice, tick. Does it then sell it regionally? Does it put it into a pipeline and sell it regionally to Jordan, to Turkey, to Israel, regionally into Europe through a pipeline? Or does it sell it internationally in terms of LNG into the global marketplace? And what I'm going to do, because I didn't intend to take quite so long to do my introductory comments, is just make a point that actually the thing about global markets is it's pretty hard to escape a global market. Once the market's globalized, it's pretty hard to find a regional place that isn't impacted by the global trade dynamics. And in fact, the big game changer, we've talked about it already, is the US exports. And so the US exports will impact the global market. Even if Israel sells into local markets by pipeline, you still can't escape the global trade dynamic. And I'm going to leave it there because I'm sure you want to follow up on that in a little bit more detail.
Yeah, I do. So we'll come back to that. But just to get everyone else in,